As you grow your fountain pen collection, you may find yourself considering pens that have gold nibs. And while gold is often considered an upgrade over stainless steel, I wanted to review the differences between gold and stainless steel with you today in this video. I want to also go over some common myths and misconceptions about gold nibs, and let's go ahead and start with some of those right now. So one common myth about gold nibs is that they will provide more flex than stainless steel. And to illustrate that the material of the nib is not the only factor here, I grabbed a Lamy 2000, which has a 14 karat gold nib, and it is a semi-hooded nib, meaning most of the nib is covered up by the grip section. So again, this is a Lamy 2000. And this one has a fine 14 karat gold nib. And here's the flex. You can see not much flex there. To illustrate that the design of the nib itself plays a major role, here is a Wing Sung 630, which you can see in contrast is a much larger nib, and it's also a fully exposed nib. But this one also is a stainless steel nib rather than the 14 karat gold that we saw on the Lamy. So again, this is a Wing Sung. .630. It also has a fine nib, and it is a stainless steel. So you can see quite a bit more line variation from the 630. But I also want to explore another common myth, which is that gold nibs are smoother than stainless steel nibs. And in order to do that, we're going to have to set up a little experiment. In order to directly compare stainless steel with gold, I want to try and make as many aspects of my writing experience the same. So today I selected two of my most similar pens. I have the Lamy 59 and the Lamy CP1. And inside these pens, I have two different nibs. On the Lamy 59, I have a stainless steel medium nib. And on the Lamy CP1, I have a 14 karat gold medium nib. So both of these nibs are the same size in tipping material, which means they should provide pretty similar lines. Also inside both of these pens, I have inked them up with the same Waterman Serenity Blue, which is a very popular and fairly standard blue ink. And then we're also going to use the exact same piece of paper when we're writing. In this case, I have some fountain pen friendly copy paper to start off. And during this writing sample, I want to try and focus on two main things. First of all, the sound of the nib on the paper. That's going to best convey how smooth these pens are when they're writing. And then the other aspect that I want to try to focus on is the flexibility of the nibs, which you'll see in the line variation test, but you'll also see in the amount that the nibs flex as pressure is being placed upon them. So without further ado, let's get started. And then I'm also going to pull in another type of paper. This is the Clairefontaine Triomphe, which is a very popular fountain pen friendly paper. So I hope that gave you a pretty good idea of what it's like to use these two pens. In terms of flexibility, I do find that the gold offers more bounce as I'm writing and also some extra line variation. But in terms of smoothness, I actually find that stainless steel is a bit smoother in this case. And that really speaks volumes to the fact that the smoothness of a nib isn't dependent on the material that is used for the nib itself, but the degree to which the tipping material is polished and the quality control that goes into that process. In my case, I personally found the stainless steel a bit smoother than the gold. It's also important to note that both stainless steel and gold are alloys. That means that they are made up of a combination of different elements, both metallic and non-metallic, and there isn't much standardization as to how much of each element is in that formulation, so you might see some variation from brand to brand or even between batches. Now, how does this match up to the findings that I have for the rest of my fountain pen collection? This is fairly representative of it. Not necessarily the smoothness of the nib, but the amount of bounce and flex that I see. There are certainly outliers like the Lamy 2000 where you have a very stiff gold nib. But in general, if you're doing a direct comparison between stainless steel and gold, the gold will be a little bit bouncier and provide a little bit more flex. And that's simply because gold is a very soft material. Also, in general, gold tends to look a little bit more shiny than stainless steel, especially when it's maintained and polished. And that really shouldn't be surprising because gold is used quite often in jewelry. Now, in terms of use cases, I tend to gravitate towards stainless steel when it comes to quick writing and note-taking, and that's because it provides me a nice, consistent, and reliable line that doesn't have much line variation, but quickly puts information down on the paper. But at the same time, it does provide a bit more character than using a ballpoint pen. And when it comes to gold nibs, I tend to use these when I'm doing slow-paced, mindful type writing, where I'm trying to focus on every little character that's being written and really enjoy the bounce and feel of the nib on the page. So, is gold a direct upgrade to stainless steel? I wouldn't say so, at least not for me. I personally have two different use cases, and I welcome both in my fountain pen collection. And that just leaves me to say, thank you for watching.